Porter vs. Garcia and Nietes vs Palicte. A lot of controversy, but who really won? We answer that next. Please like and subscribe. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. Welcome to Sunday Morning Champion on a Monday. No show yesterday, so we're making up for that today. Garcia versus Porter and Nietes vs Palicte. Two excellent fights, two very close and competitive fights, and no robberies took place. Let me repeat that. In neither fight, Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia, and the draw between Donnie Nietes and Ashton Palicte, there were no robberies. Even if you scored the fight for Swift and for Donnie Nietes, which is completely reasonable, you can't think there was a robbery that took place. The only travesty that happened anywhere on Saturday was in California for the Palicte Nietes fight. HBO's coverage of that was an abomination. The fight was pro-Nietes propaganda, and it was stomach-turning. It reminded me of what they did with Pacquiao and Bradley in the first fight. The commentary that Max and Jim gave were nothing short of pro-Nietes propaganda. I mean, it was absolutely absurd. When they ignore all the work of one guy and only comment on the work of another guy and then act shocked like some great travesty occurred when a really close fight that can go either way, it goes one way and not the other, and they're outraged. Just so you know, my official scores of these two fights, I scored for Showtime Porter, 116-112, and I scored for Ashton Palicte, 115-113. That's for the record. So I scored for Porter 8 rounds to 4, and I scored for Palicte 7 rounds to 5, for the record. Okay, let's take a look at these two fights. All right, let's start with Garcia and Porter. The big fight Saturday night in New York, Brooklyn, at the Barclays. Lots of 50-50 rounds in this fight. Showtime, as always, did an excellent job. I thought clearly Garcia won rounds 1, 5, and 12, and Porter clearly won rounds 4, 6, 7, and 11. Okay, 4 clear rounds for Porter and 3 for Garcia. So that's 5 toss-up rounds. 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. All toss-up rounds. So 8-4 either way is reasonable. If you had that fight 116-112 for Danny, okay. If you had it 116-112 for Porter, okay. And obviously anywhere in between those two scorecards is also completely reasonable. It came down to, what did you like? Did you like Porter's output and aggression, or did you like Garcia's ring generalship and precision punching? Porter landed a lot of things that weren't so clean, but kind of landed. And he outworked him, and he took the fight to him. And Garcia landed some clean shots, but he wasn't overly active. So look, it's kind of like in baseball, right? Like, the strike zone is what it is, but it's kind of left up to the umpire's interpretation. Now, on 90% of pitches, we can all agree what's a ball and what's a strike. But those 10%, it's kind of up to the ump's discretion, and that's kind of what we had here. Boxing is not that difficult to score. Reasonable people should be able to agree on most rounds, but there are in the sport lots of close toss-up rounds. When you have 5 toss-up rounds out of 12, you can't complain that one fight went one way instead of the other. I scored the fight for Porter. Going to the scorecards, I thought they were going to give it to Danny. Not give it to Danny, because it wouldn't have been a gift. It would have been Danny got the benefit of a really close doubt. I just thought that's the way it was going to go. I thought that they were going to prefer Garcia's precision punching, and that I was going to have the scorecard wrong compared to the judges. It turned out that the judges saw it the way I did. If you put 3 different judges in that fight, maybe they score for Garcia. Judges matter. Just like pitchers in baseball have umpires that they like. Cornerbacks and wide receivers in football have referees that they like. They allow a little more contact. They allow a little more pushing off, or they don't, or they call it really tight. So that matters. And we knew this was a 50-50 fight. If you go back and listen to my Tuesday Night Fights episode, where I said that this is a 50-50 fight and it may demand a rematch, it may. It honestly may demand a rematch. But I knew we were going to have a controversial decision. I said it would be a split decision. I still can't believe that none of the judges scored it for Garcia, but that's okay. But that was a kind of fight that I was expecting. Now, I didn't expect Porter to box as much as he did. Porter had some success with the jab and bouncing around on the outside, which was surprising. I thought if he did that, he was just going to lose. Like, he would lose every round. And he hung in there. You saw it in the fourth round, that he took control and he imposed his will. But even before that, I had it 2-1 in favor of Porter in that boxing match. So it shows you that you could have also had it 3-0 for Garcia. That would have been reasonable too. So anywhere in the first 3 rounds, you could have it 2-1 for Porter or 3-0 for Garcia, and both are completely reasonable. Just so you know, I'm going to tell you what rounds I scored for Danny Garcia. I scored rounds 1, 5, 1, 5, 8, and 12 are the rounds I scored for Danny Garcia. And I scored, obviously, the rest of them. Now, that doesn't mean that there's... that I'm definitively right in that if you scored the fight for Garcia and you scored 8 rounds for Garcia, that you're completely unreasonable. No. It was just... You usually don't get that many 50-50 rounds in one fight. And you happen to get it. So... I think I would be okay with seeing it again. I don't think we're going to see it again, at least not right away. There's too much action right now at 147. And Kenny Porter is talking about not putting Porter back in the ring until somewhere between April and June of next year, which means he's going to be off for, 8 months? Hey, look, if that's what he wants to do with his fighter, then he should do that with his fighter. But at that point, he'd have to fight, I would imagine, Spence. But is Spence going to be available in 8 months? I mean, because that would be a 10-month layoff for Earl Spence. Is this Earl Spence who said, I want to stay active, want to take 10 months off at least? Right? If he's talking April to June, that could be June, which means that Spence would have been inactive for a year. Right? Because he last fought in early June of 2018. So if Robert Porter, if Kenny Porter is saying, I don't want Sean back in the ring until June of 2019, well, that's a year in between fights for Spence. And I don't think Spence wants to do that. So what I'm suggesting is that Errol Spence take a fight in December or January. And then by May, he can fight Kenny Porter. Now, he may not get the fight that he wants, but he will get a decent fight. Ugas, I think, would be a fair fight. Jesse Vargas is a reasonable fight. Now, that's not the name that Spence wants, but it's better than staying inactive for a year, is it not? I mean, ask Keith Thurman how staying inactive is working out for him. So just stay in the ring, get the best fight you can get, and move from there. Maybe you can get the IBF to mandate someone, and you can get that out of the way, and then after that you can just move forward and fight all the unification fights you want. But he should be fighting again. Either they should make that fight for February or March, right? The Sean Porter with Errol Spence unification fight should be either made for February or March of next year, or Spence should fight in the interim. He should not take a year off. I don't know why Kenny Porter wants Sean to take 8, 9, 10 months off in between fights again. I just, for the life of me, I can't think of any good reason why he'd want him to do that. He was saying things on the Boxing Voice that because he has a birthday party and that he wants to go to Boston for Dimitri Andrade's fight. Okay. So you can't start your camp until after your birthday party. What is he, 7 years old? How old is he turning? 7? Is he gonna go play laser tag? Is he going to a jump house? This is insane to me, right? But look, if that he is his own fighter, right? He doesn't answer to anyone. So if he doesn't want to fight then that's fine. It just seems like I want to watch my buddies fight, and I want to go to my birthday party. Is a weird, strange kind of reason to put up the biggest fight of your career. But hey, it is what it is. You know, Sean Porter makes his own decisions, right? That's the beauty of boxing, right? If this was a team sport, you'd have a team, you know, that he'd have to account to, but he doesn't have that. It's him. Do what you want, Sean Porter, as ridiculous as it sounds. But again, I thought Porter won the fight. I'm interested to know your scorecards so far. The majority of people I spoke to, a slight majority, have favored Garcia, but that might just be the squeaky wheel getting the grease. So I want to know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Put it all down, how you scored the fight. And if you remember what round you scored for which fighter, let me know that as well. I scored an 8-4 for Garcia, for Porter. And I scored the 1st, 5th, 8th, and 12th for Swift. And I scored the other 8 rounds for Porter. But let me know what you had, and I'm just interested to see, because I thought this was a really close fight that reasonably could have gone either way. Like I said, when it went to the cards, I favored Porter, but I thought they were going to favor Garcia, and I was surprised that all 3 of them gave it to Porter, even though I had it that way. So going on to the other fight, the other controversial fight that on Saturday night, Ashton Palicte and Donnie Nietes fought to a draw. Again, I had it 115, 113 for Palicte. Lots of controversy. I scored, a lot of close, controversial rounds that could have gone either way. I scored 7-5 for Palicte. I'll tell you the rounds that I scored for him. I scored rounds 1, 5, 8, 10, and 12. Wow, that's similar to the Garcia fight. I scored rounds 1, 5, 8, 10, and 12 for Nietes, and I scored the other 7 rounds for Palicte. I thought Palicte built up an early lead, and the old man came back and rallied late. And again, if you had this fight anywhere from 8 rounds to 4 for Palicte to 9 rounds or 8 or 9 rounds for Nietes, all of those rounds, all of those cards are reasonable. 10-2. I don't know, because one of the judge that scored it for Nietes, had it 10-2 Nietes. Yeah, that's the only travesty of a card that occurred. The other 2, 8-4 Palicte and 6-6, those are fine. Now I know HBO didn't agree with that, but that was the job that HBO did was absolutely embarrassing. Okay, there were so many close rounds in this fight that could have gone either way. Palicte did great work in the first 7 rounds. Big right hands to the head, and he threw his right hand to the body at range that Palicte just couldn't answer, and he really couldn't defend because he's so much shorter, and Palicte covers so much more area than Nietes does. When Palicte is controlling the tempo, outworking, throwing bigger punches than Nietes, don't be shocked if Palicte wins those rounds. The only outrageous thing really was HBO's commentary. I mean, look, Harold Letterman didn't even bother learning Palicte's name. He got it wrong over and over again. The commentary was eerily similar to what they did with Pacquiao and Bradley. And Max and Jim just let each other down Primrose Path. I mean, ignoring all of the good work that Palicte was doing and just building his own outrage in his mind. I mean, there were so many times, and Andre Ward had to point it out once too when he said, when I think it was about the 3rd round or so, and Jim Lampley said that that Nietes landed a big shot and got out to a place where Nietes landed a shot in the 3rd round, and Jim Lampley said, Nietes lands a big shot and gets to a place where Palicte can't possibly find him, and Andre Wood goes, well, actually, Palicte also landed a big right hand, and Jim goes, oh. It's like you're clearly cheerleading and you're clearly celebrating. The point I don't get is why Donnie Nietes and not Ashton Palicte, right? But we can get to that later. Again, 7 rounds to 5. I want to know how you guys had it. I thought Palicte controlled the early rounds. I thought he did a great job, and I thought the work rate for me gave him the edge. And obviously, one of the judges agreed, one had it even, the other preferred Nietes' work on the inside, his ability, his defensive skills. But I thought Palicte was the one in charge. I thought he controlled the action of the fight. I thought he controlled the tempo. I thought he got Nietes to fight on his terms. So ring generalship would also favor Palicte. But let me know what you guys think. And I'm really interested, right? Because this hasn't got a lot of coverage. Didn't get a lot of media attention. How did you guys score? I had 7-5 Palicte. Leave your thoughts, comments below. And let me know how you guys had it on your scorecards. The other thing I wanted to get into was just how bad HBO actually was. Because they were terrible. And this is, they used to do it Pacquiao all the time, and it was disgusting, right? They obviously did no research on Palicte. This was an embarrassment. They didn't know anything about him. They didn't know that he was a real good fighter. And what's interesting is that Roy Jones Jr. is a commentator for HBO. He's worked for HBO for, I don't know, 20 years, calling fights for HBO. And he's a Roy Jones Jr. promoted fighter. So certainly they have some interest in him. But they like, Letterman didn't even learn to use his name. Max Kellerman knew nothing about him. His last fight, by the way, was nationally televised on a decent-sized card on BN Sports. So there was no reason not to know who Aston Palicte was. I picked him to win, knowing that, okay, he's the bigger, stronger, younger guy, and I think he wears him down late. Now, I wasn't right in that. He didn't wear him down late. Nietes actually came on strong in the second half of the fight. But, like, you really have no knowledge? And then they didn't give him credit for anything that he landed and act like they were outraged. I mean, there were so many times in this fight where Palicte was landing the right hand to the body, landing the right hand to the head. And not to mention, he's just a bigger, stronger guy. So there are lots of shots that Palicte threw that were partly blocked, partly deflected. But it's kind of punching through the guard, too. And when you throw as hard and throw as hard as Palicte does, those kind of shots that aren't so clean but kind of land, have some effect. So when Nietes is just sitting there doing nothing, getting outworked 2-1, if you score that round for Palicte based on the workout rate, and okay, some of those shots that aren't so clean kind of landed a little bit, and he's kind of punching through Nietes' guard, and I score those rounds for Palicte, why would that surprise you? I mean, this was an absolute embarrassment on HBO's part. I went to the scorecards saying, wow, I really don't know which way this is going to go. I know how Letterman had it, and that's okay. But I have it 7-5 for the guy that they think's lost. There was a point in the 5th round where Max Kellerman goes, Nietes is clearly winning the fight. I had him down, going into the 5th round, I had him down 3-1. I don't know what was so clear about that. I think 3-1 was pretty reasonable. I haven't seen the official scorecard to see what rounds were scored for who, but I thought Nietes won the first round and Palicte bounced back, won the second, third, and fourth. So it just doesn't, okay. Going into the 8th round, I had a 5-2 Palicte. I had him in control, and I thought Nietes fought back nicely. But again, this was just like the Pacquiao-Bradley fight. Where it's like, why are you ignoring all of the good work that Bradley is doing? And again, if you scored the Pacquiao-Bradley fight for Pacquiao, fine, you're in the majority. But you can't act like that fight wasn't close. Almost every round was close. And almost every round in this fight was close. That's what I'm saying. Anywhere from 9-3 Nietes to 8-4 Palicte, all reasonable scores. I scored 7 rounds to 5 Palicte because I preferred his ring generalship. I thought he controlled the tempo of the fight. And I thought even the shots that weren't landing so clean were still kind of landing and having an effect. I thought he got Nietes to work on his terms. And I scored the fight for him because of that. Okay, if you disagree, that's fine too, but don't act like the fight wasn't really, really close. Why they're picking Nietes now is kind of bizarre, right? Because Nietes is 36, he's had a Hall of Fame career, but he's at the end of that Hall of Fame career, right? At the very end of that career. Maybe he's got 1 or 2 more fights left. So why are they fanboying for Donnie Nietes now when they've never fanboyed for him before? Well, I can kind of answer that too, and I want to know what you guys think. Because you can pay these 115-pounders pennies on the dollar, right? I mean, they just don't demand what welterweights or middleweights or heavyweights demand, right? They're usually from different countries, so they usually get paid on television rights from their local country too. So HBO can pay them pennies, and they're good fights, right? So they can get good fights, and they don't have to break the bank. Not a bad option, and they bet that, okay, let's get Nietes a win, and we can get Nietes a fight with Ioka, or we can get him a fight with Sorungvasai, and that can headline a card. or a fight with Kudras, or they've invested in these super flyweights because it doesn't cost much, right? And I'll watch it, you'll watch. I mean, the hardcores will watch it. HBO is basically done with boxing. Like I said, Facebook gives us better fights than HBO does now, which is, something I can't even understand. But to me, the reason why they did this, why they fanboyed for Nietes was so hard, is that they went in with a preconceived notion that Nietes is good, that Nietes is going to win. We don't know who Nietes Palicte is, and since we did no homework on him, he must be no good, and that Nietes will win, and we'll set up Nietes for a bigger fight, be that with Rungvisai or Kudras or Ioka or whoever, right? But that's the next fight we're going to make for Superfly 4, February, March, whatever of next year. Turns out Nietes Palicte is really good. You should have done your homework on him. A, because he's a Roy Jones Jr. fighter, Roy Jones who works for your network, and B, because he's really good and you should have known that coming in. But let me know what you think. You think my idea on why they fanboy for Nietes so hard makes sense? Is that reasonable, that they want to get... They want to sell it? The same reason they sold Chocolatito, like the pound for pound best fighter in the world, which was ridiculous because he got hit so often. They sold him as the best fighter in the world pound for pound because they could pay him pennies on the dollar. You don't have to pay Chocolatito Gonzalez what you pay Terrence Crawford or Lomachenko or Deontay Wilder or any of the other big draws. So it's okay. We're gonna jam this guy down your throat, and we're gonna tell you he's the best pound for pound fighter, and you're gonna listen. Except that he wasn't, right? So that's what they did. That's what they were trying to do with Nietes. Max Kellerman was comparing him to all types of Floyd Mayweather and Pernell Whitaker and James Toney, and it's like, easy. Look, Nietes, I'm a fan of Nietes. I really am. He's a great fighter who's had a Hall of Fame career, but going into a fight at 36, fighting a naturally bigger guy, I'm picking the other guy who I think is really good, which was Palicte. And I thought I was right, but I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Leave me both of your scorecards for Sunday Morning Champion on a Monday. This is 3D Boxing signing off, saying thank you and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.